As you could have heard from my ministers, from our new short-lived government, Kabinet Marcelina I, we have actually encountered a bankrupt country at this particular moment. A surprisingly reality that has not been given to us by the former government. Their focus was to impress us with a duration of governance of 4 years, while actually what we got for that 4-year back was a mismanaged, bankrupt country at the end of the day. But we can continue looking backward and think that we are destroyed, or we can recatch ourselves and try to execute what the people of St. Martin has mandated us to do. And that's why, by making use of this opportunity to confront you with a harsher reality of actually a demotivating situation of our country, I just want to go through a few items and topics and projects and plans that I went through in the last 18 days, only 18 days being in government, just to give you an impression about our drive to try to put this country back on track. First of all, yourself. It has been in the past a big challenge to acknowledge freedom of speech and freedom of journalism. And what we have done is we have had an open meeting with the press in which we had, to my feeling, a very healthy discussion about how to move forward in a young country as St. Martin with the transfer of information from government to the society. I think we were together very successful. We discussed also our media policy that we have, that has been implemented by the former government. We had to pick that policy up because that was the reality of the country. And now we are in a phase that we gave you also the opportunity to have an input for further reviewing of this policy, for us to get to a more balanced working relationship, for at the end of the day to inform our people in a correct way. Another worry I have is heritage for my country. What is still over for St. Martin? Or are we going with the mentality that everything in St. Martin is for sale? I have had a meeting with the COM, with the sun resort that represents Mullet Bay, and as you can have read in the newspaper, it stated that they are planning to sell this Mullet Bay. As Prime Minister of this country, I feel that we should have, as government, as country St. Martin, as people of this nation, the first option to buy this Mullet Bay. And I do believe, and I have some formulas in the back of my head to work it out, to see if we can execute this buying or taking over of this Mullet Bay in case it comes to that decision. I would like the people of St. Martin to know that a lot have been for sale in St. Martin, but this government now is thinking on the next generation of our people, and we do believe that not everything in St. Martin should be for sale, and that we have to start working seriously on our own nation. I have had also a meeting with the Council of Ministers with the NRPB. They have their challenges too. We are now at the verge of losing the opportunity to use a remaining 200 million that still is in the trust fund for Country St. Martin. And there is a chance that we can lose this 200 million instead of having it available to spend in projects to prosper our people. And that's why there is a mission now to Washington, and people will think that we are now in a phase of a dimensionaire government, and that this Dr. Marcelino will travel to Washington. Actually, it was not in my planning to travel to Washington, but there is no other choice to go to the headquarters in D.C., Washington, to try to convince the authorities of the World Bank for us to get a second chance to make use of actually the $200 million that is still actually allocated for projects in St. Martin that we have the tendency to lose if we don't get enough convincing of the Dutch government and the government of St. Martin for us to be able to use that money. I had already a contact with State Secretary Van Heuvelen, and I requested her to do her part for us, for St. Martin, not to lose these $200 million. I focus with the NRPB on plans, as you could have listened to my speech on the 3rd of May. When we were sworn in, I told the populace of St. Martin that I'm focusing on mental health and social housing and affordable housing, and also on the way forward with financing of healthcare. We are now quite far in our discussions with the NRPB that we're going to get money for allocation to work on improvement of mental health care for the people of St. Martin. As we have heard, we are trying still, although there are some pessimism on the side from my Minister of Romy, we are still trying, and that's why I'm going with this mission to Washington, to try to reconvince the people of St. Martin that there are approximately 4,000 families on a waiting list for housing in this country, and we are going to try to convince them to allocate us enough money for us to really start delivering for the people of St. Martin and see if we can start working on social housing for those in need. I had also an encounter with the second chamber. They were here in St. Martin, and I begged them for us to work on 3 topics. First of all, the democratic deficit, that is a handicap for us to get complete recognition in our relationship in the kingdom. Secondly, I asked them, please, for us to start working on a kingdom based on differences and not a kingdom based on similarities. Traditionally, we have tried to get it going, the relationship between the Netherlands and St. Martin, by accentuating the wish for uniformity in the way to look towards problems in our society. And I told them the only way for us to be successful is for us to acknowledge that we are different people with a different culture and with a different history. And I asked them for us to start working on a colorful working relationship based on differences instead of similarities.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is open for all of you. SXM
Asset V insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? Asset V is cardless. Request your My Asset V account today and enter the virtual office of Asset V. Go to assetv.sx and sign up now.
Asset V, yeah. Your social health insurance.
We had also an encounter with the SXV, very scary, because I said also in my speech on the 3rd of May that if we continue the way we are spending money of the SXV, we are going to be bankrupting this institution concerning the sustainability of financing of healthcare for Country St. Martin. We are working in a way to create a sustainable financial system to guarantee continuity of care for Country St. Martin. The way we are doing it is we are looking at what should we do with the premiums by considering not to overkill the people that are already in big need in our society, see how we can broaden the base of contributors to premiums, see how we can reduce costs in healthcare, and see how I can ultimately realize the dream that I have to start with a professional treasury registry instead of the big registration that is hampering a sound evolution of healthcare professionals for Country St. Martin. I had also with the Council of Ministers a very learnful session with the Council of State. What we have here is a Council of Advice. In the Netherlands is the Council of States. And what I realize is that there is a lot of goodwill from the Council of State to hold our hands together for us to get the best out of the relationship between St. Martin and the Netherlands. I'm also working with Amsterdam. There is a plan for a slavery museum for Amsterdam called the National Slavery Museum. And a delegation was here and I told them I do not want a national slavery museum in the Netherlands. I want a kingdom slavery museum for the Kingdom of the Netherlands. They have the opportunity out of a financial fund of 250 million euros. And I'm going to try to see how we can get a piece out of this 250 million to see if we can start with the development of more culture and history awareness in our country and see if we can start also in a satellite concept with the Netherlands to develop this slavery museum and see how actually we can become like a franchise-like way of presenting the concept of awareness of slavery in the Kingdom of the Netherlands. What I introduced also, and that is a handicap for each government, is every new coalition, political party that comes in has a vision and idea, what we call the governing accord, that is actually translated in a governing program. But to get from an accord to a program, you have to know what are the ongoing projects that are already being executed in the ministries. So to translate a governing accord to a governing program, you cannot do it by day one, excluding the civil servants that are daily working on plans, projects, and vision for the country. So I decided I'm going to do it different. I'm going to come with my governing accord. We're going to create a platform in which the minister, the secretary general, the chief of staff, and the financial controller are going to sit together and ask the government, show me now your vision for your country, and let's dig into the details of your program and see what our input can be for together we be able to execute the governing program for country St. Martin. I realize the approach that I have with my government is quite not customary to the civil servants, because now they're getting instruction, guidelines, and especially inclusion. And I do believe the only way to be successful in an organization is to make workers, participants, co-owner of the project and include them in everything what you're doing as a government. And I feel in the 18 days that we have been here in government that this new sentiment is being appreciated by the civil servants. In 19 days, I'm standing here telling you a lot. Instead of criticizing, I'm telling you what I'm doing to build back this country. For not yesterday, we are surprised by a development in Parliament that a member of Parliament has retracted his support from this government. Out of my heart, I'm informing you that this has been a surprise for all coalition partners forming this government. You cannot, in 18 days in government, have a total impression and feeling about the functioning of a government that comes in and encounters a ravage and a bankrupt status of a country. For in 18 days to make the conclusion that you feel yourself uncomfortable with people that are working day and night the past 18 days to make this country a great country again. Because I am aware, realizing the reaction of the people of this country, how they have reacted on what has transpired yesterday, I'm convinced that by the upcoming elections, the people will have a firm standpoint about what they want for the future of their country. And to do that, I have invoked yesterday Article 59 of the Constitution of Country St. Martin, and I have sent Article 59 in a decree to the governor for ratification for us to be able to dissolve Parliament, for us to be able to organize a snap election as soon as possible for country St. Martin. It was a difficult decision and challenge for the Prime Minister to do that, but I do believe the situation that the people of St. Martin are in now, the suffering and the challenges of the people of this country, there is no other option to show politicians with the formula of actually functioning by putting self above country, leave egoism control them, greediness control them. This is the moment that I am handing over a tool to the people of this country for them to decide what they will do with those politicians the moment they are going to mandate them in the nearby future when we organize this snap election. We have, of course, deliberation and contact already with the governor, and of course with the Central Voting Bureau already, because this Dr. Marcelina is not joking with his commitment for the people of this country. So it's not alone that I invoked Article 59, but with that I dissolved Parliament, and I'm already working with the governor and the Central Voting Bureau to come to an agreement on the specific date to call a new election. We have some challenges because it's a short notice. We have to take into consideration the date for registration of political parties. We have to respect that in our democracy. We have to consider the date for the postulation and the day after the nomination, of course. We have to determine the day of election and, of course, the time span between election, installment of a new parliament, and dissolving the former parliament. These are details that the way we are working, we are going to be able to solve at a short notice for us to proceed with a snap election for Country St. Martin. I reiterate, the people of St. Martin are aware that the move that took place yesterday has not been motivated by the bigger picture of putting country above self, not being motivated by the drive to improve and prosper the livelihood of the people of St. Martin. And that is the reason that I'm handing over this tool of giving the populace of St. Martin the opportunity to show the people of St. Martin that we are serious people and we have a vision and a mission for this country.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurance.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is open for all of you.
Today makes it 19 days since this government was sworn in. Let that sink in for a few seconds. 19 days. During the first 2 weeks as minister, we all underwent a rigorous, and I kept mentioning it over and over, a rigorous onboarding orientation program filled with training, presentations, and introductory meetings. During the onboarding, I found it prudent to go personally to meet with the staff of each of my department under TIAT. I still didn't have time to meet all who I still understand is still awaiting to meet with me very shortly, but I will be there. You will also recall that in my inaugural address, after taking office, I disclosed that I will be carrying out a quick scan of the Ministry of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Traffic, and Telecommunication to give the people the actual state of affairs of the ministry and provide a factual picture of where our economy is at this moment. To be frank, it took me just 3 days to find the deep mess in which the previous government has thrown us. And obviously, they knew this. They were afraid of the results of the quick scan. That is why, in my view, they became more desperate and obsessively worked to derail this coalition. Something they did not want the people of St. Martin to know. Something they were afraid that would be brought to light and all their lies will be exposed. Let me share with you just a few things I was able to discover in just 19 days in this office. I said the marketplace and the beautification of town will receive my undivided attention. I first met with a construction company that was awarded the bid and later visited the vendors. Their complaints were many regarding the dissatisfaction with the plans and the previous administration made for the reconstruction of the facility, and that was evident. Digging into the files, we found a lot of discrepancies with the entire procedure. I found out that there was a design and build contract awarded with a design and build without a design and build public tender. I'm going to repeat it so everyone can clearly hear what I just said. I found out that there was a design and build contract awarded without a design and build public tender. This means that other interested contractors were not given a fair chance to bid for the project, because simply put, the one that designed it was the one that won the bid. But there's more. The cruise line that was in partnership with this project requested that they have to see and approve the final project and agree to the payment plan before they even disburse the money. To date, the harbor is yet to hear from the cruise line about the payment of disbursement of $350,000. People of St. Martin understand that this total allotted budget is $686,900.42. The $350,000 is still not in the coffers to be disbursed. And there are still much discrepancies with this that I'm still currently looking into. In the last days, April 18th to be exact, of the previous administration, a six-month agreement was approved to the tunes of 255,000 guilders for the Phillipsburg Come Alive program without proper bidding procedures. As I read and the legal advice, they asked to redo the procurement. And I leave that at that there too, because there's more we need to uncover there as well. Similarly, the popular bus and taxi licenses were issued right, left, and center without following proper procedures. The complaint file is stacked full of charges that licenses was issued by avoiding the normal approval process. This too has my utmost attention. On my visit to the various departments under TIAT, the complaints I heard over and over again were the lack of equipment, and several of those that were available were not working, were not in good working proper conditions. The civil servants were not being compensated fairly. Those are the standard things I heard in my visits.